Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Full Force News Burst live special with me, Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80, brought to you by General Joe's Reborn.com. Not me, obviously, the show has been brought to you by that. Shout out Justin Bell. Right, yes, we are talking. Let's talk Classified Iron Grenadiers. A lot of talking tonight. Let's talk Classified Iron Grenadiers. Now, this is a first. We are switching from the format of edited videos to bring you this as a kind of a live format just to see how it goes. Hopefully this will be the most difficult one out of the ones I have coming up. Obviously there'll be some episodes where I have to go into depth with the amount of figures that have come out. Iron Grenadiers have had a few. There've been a few Iron Grenadier figures, so we'll talk about the history of the line of the sub line, I should say, or the subgroup. So we will be getting into that. Hello, Flaffle. Hello, Paul. Hello, Ryan. Hello, A Punk with Toys. Hello, W. And hello, Matt. Happy Thursday indeed. So yes, the Iron Grenadiers. Let's talk. I guess let's talk Iron Grenadiers. Yeah. So we are getting stuck into this particular topic today. Now, of course, we've had a truckload of name-only reveals over the past few months. They've mostly been covered on screen at the moment in videos where I've done kind of little deep dives into the characters and then kind of discussed what to expect from the Classified series, kind of design-wise, accessories wise, it all kind of speculative a lot of the time. And in terms of the Iron Grenadiers, obviously we're looking at another troop builder, and specifically their Iron Grenadiers. Look, there you go, see, fancy. And yeah, I thought we'd kind of delve into the kind of history of the figure, and then obviously from that we can take some cues and some ideas and see what we could end up with in the future in the 6-inch Classified series. So I'm just going to go back to this one quickly because obviously we've got Starduster to come, Leatherneck. I've got to do a video on Leatherneck, Xandar, and Nemesis Immortal. They're the only ones I have left to do after this Iron Grenadiers one. And all 4 of those figures or characters, I should say, have very few figure versions. So that's pretty cool. What's everyone saying in the comments? Lots of people in the comments. Hello. Wink for the despoiler, says Leon. I can't because I have no idea if it's coming or not. It should do, though. Destro version, that version of Destro, the Iron Grenadiers Destro with the despoiler, just makes so much sense for a figure vehicle combination. It's crazy if it doesn't end up happening. Flaffle says, let's go Lions. Okay. Detroit, right? Are they playing right now? Iron Grenadier is the poor man's headhunter stormtrooper, says Ryan. Hilarious. I wonder if we'll ever get to do that particular episode. I wonder if we'll ever get to do a headhunter. That would be really cool for Classified, wouldn't it? If we get a name reveal for that. I'm not winking or anything, I swear. I don't know anything about that. That's all. That's me just genuinely speculating. I never had IGs as a kid, but I'm really excited for them in Classified, says Liquid Identity 101. Awesome. Yeah, I did have the IG as a child and really enjoyed the figure. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I think as a Classified figure, I'm really excited to see what they do, especially seeing how well the Crimson Guard was done. I feel like they're very similar in vibes to the Crimson Guard. Battle Force 2000, indeed, Flaffle. Shall we just cover the Iron Grenadier bat as well, since you know it slipped? Yes, Chris. Well, we won't, but I'll wait for that. I'll suppose I'll do a video on that as well, but not that it makes any sense because it'll just be about bats, and it will be about 500 hours long, where we talk about. It took me ages to do the graphics on the amount of bats we've got over the years. Have I heard about when the Joe stream will be? I figured we know by now since G.I. Joe Day is on the 1st. You probably can't say, though. I don't know, Matt. What I can say is that I just fully expect it to be on the 1st. I have no idea when it's going to be. I know it's going to happen. You know it's going to come. I mean, it's obvious. All the brands are having them. G.I. Joe Day is around the corner, February the 1st. It makes sense to do it on February the 1st, or at least around that time. I imagine we'll probably get some sort of update tomorrow Keep an eye out tomorrow, because that's usually what happens, isn't it? After all, like, because they give other reveals a bit of breathing space. I say reveals, but like announcements, like the Transformers team are having one on the 30th, etc., etc. So I feel like, you know, the first would make sense. So yeah, keep an eye out tomorrow on the socials. I'm sure the announcement will happen tomorrow. If not, next week for sure. Anyway, Iron Grenadiers, that's what we're looking at today. Sorry, loads of comments coming in. Great to have you all here, guys. Thank you very much for all the interaction. Lots of people, big fans of the Iron Grenadiers in the chat as well. This is great. Chris, what do you want more? Classified wild boar or classified nullifier? Rachel, interesting. Wild boar or nullifier? Nullifier. I'll go with nullifier. It's weird. It's quirky. It was originally a Cobra La design, I believe, or a Cobra La vehicle driver. I think we've all seen the kind of pre-production artwork and stuff, the kind of presentation artwork for the nullifier and the whatever it is. Anyway, it had some Cobra La vibes, didn't it? Basically. Anywho, let's move on. So the Iron Grenadiers broke onto the scene in 1988, many moons ago. Something really interesting actually about the card here, and I always found this really weird, but I thought it was really cool when I was a kid. This was the figure I had as a kid. Not this image, but this particular version, the American card back, etc., etc. You may have heard me talk about this many, many times. I think it's probably mentioned on every single episode I do. It's almost like a hilarious joke now. But when I was 8 years old, I went to the United States, 1989, and that was the first time I'd been to the US as a kid, and it blew my mind. And went, obviously, to the toy store, and aisles of Joe, and one of the figures I picked up in 89 was a figure that had been hanging on the pegs for a year. Now, this was available in 88, available in 89, and then I think discontinued in 90 in the United States. So, but that said, it was there when I was a kid. I saw it. I was drawn to it. One of the things that was really blowing my mind at the time, at that moment in time, were the Tiger Force card backs, because they were different, and these card backs because there was this kind of different color in the background and the digital explosion. There were logos all over the place. What was this new thing that I'd found and seen? What is this cool looking trooper? What is the Battle Force 2000, etc., etc. So yes, this was again, like, this was one that I saw and was like, what's really interesting though, and I only really started thinking about it when I was putting this together. But how interesting is it that they went with putting the Battle Force 2000 logo on it as well? And like, I know that they were kind of putting them against each other. It was like Battle Force 2000 versus the Iron Grenadiers in the comics, in the commercials for the comics, in the in all that kind of stuff. Like, there was this weird, like, yeah, well, let's have two factions, let's have them going against each other. But I just found it so odd that they did that on the card back for the Iron Grenadiers. They didn't just have the Iron Grenadiers logo, and then on the back, on the cross, the cross cell on the back, they just had the Battle Force 2000 section in a different color, separated like they did on Tiger Force and what have you. So I just thought it was weird that they would do this on the card for and also not just that, but Iron Grenadiers, man, they've got their own colorway, right? They've got their own. It was almost like it was the Battle Force 2000 line. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that it's the purples, the blues, and the whites. It's Battle Force 2000 basically. Digital explosion. I just thought it was really odd. I'd have liked I would have loved it for them to do like a Destro Iron Grenadiers related, color scheme explosion in the background. But as a kid, I didn't care. I was really excited. I suppose that, there you go. That's the marketing at play. I was really enthralled. I didn't know what was going on. I was confused, but at the same time, I was really excited and I wanted to see what it was all about. But I thought that was really interesting. Anyway, 1988, like I said, handpicked from Destro's personal bodyguards or bodyguard. That come up in a little while. were initially promoted alongside Battle Force 2000 and featured the BF 2000 logo on the front of the card, as I mentioned. And one thing I didn't say is quickly became a very popular faction within the brand, and it really did. I mean, we've seen it kind of like, it's one of those ones where I think the IGs have created almost like a splinter of like the faction of the fandom, sorry, like literally the fandom, who associate themselves as, you know, being in that sub team of Iron Grenadiers. I remember like being on His Tank back in the day, on the forums and stuff. People like would be, you know, would have their Iron Grenadiers tags on the things, like, you know, on their profiles and stuff like that. There's a real like strong, this is a strong faction for me, like where you've got some that are a little bit kind of like, you know, they come and they go. Tiger Force has always stayed strong, but it is kind of like there is a love it or hate it aspect to Tiger Force, it would appear. I think a lot of people do love it though, because it is a very popular sub team, but at the same time there's a lot of kind of like, you know, whereas I think with Iron Grenadiers, I think there'll be like a lot of people that absolutely love Iron Grenadiers, and those that aren't like in love with them are like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Like it's that. It's not like with Tiger Force, it's like you love them or you absolutely can't stand them. So I think like with Iron Grenadiers, it's got this, it's really solid like fandom love basically, that everyone has kind of like jumped into. Yeah, so and like, you know, look at some of the other sub factions. Obviously like Dreadnoks is a strong one, and it always seems to be tied to the major characters in the hierarchy, doesn't it? So like, you know, you've got your Zartan and of course your Dreadnoks, you've got your Destro and you've got your Iron Grenadiers. And the fact that we had an entire civil war, a really interesting storyline in the Real American Hero comic, by the way, that saw Cobra, Serpentor and Destro going like, and Joe's going at each other. Well, you know, like the three of them going at each other and the Joe's trying to come in and take advantage of that. So like, I don't know, yeah, really just real interesting that the Iron Grenadiers have had this like really strong kind of fandom following. Not even a cult following. It's bigger than that, I would say, personally. Anyway, so it's interesting. Well, not interesting. It's obvious they were going to finally do Iron Grenadiers at some point. Someone mentioned earlier on about the despoiler. I think it was Leon said, you know, wink if it's, you know, if we're getting a despoiler and Destro version, whatever it is. But I just think that's an obvious, you know, it's got to be around the corner, hasn't it? When you think about all of the tap-ins, all of the obvious, you know, the friggin' just the easy low-hanging fruit. If you're doing Metalhead, you're doing Iron Grenadiers, you're doing an Iron Grenadier Bat, lols, you're doing are they doing any others that I don't know of yet? No, I wasn't going to give anything away there. Thankfully, there aren't any others that I know of in the line plan. But you know, the fact, and then obviously on the horizon, I would fully expect, you know, your Voltars and your Destros with your despoilers and your Targats and your Annihilators and your Undertows. All of these are very likely going to happen, I think, going forward. And it's great. It's like they've managed to hold fire with the Iron Grenadier factions, you know, quite a way on, well into the line, which is really good. It's kind of given us a Sergeant Major's another one. Iron Anvils, thank you, George. They were kind of like later on, weren't they? Kind of like brought in like the club style, weren't they? But again, really cool. They're like the Battle Core Vipers kind of redecos almost, aren't they? I know, but I'm really into those Iron Anvils big time. Darklon, of course, absolutely. Yeah, and Voltar, as I mentioned before. Yeah, I'd love Voltar because again, you get a vulture out of it as well. Yeah. Anyway, Iron Grenadiers V1. There you go. Now, a little bit more to talk about with the Iron Grenadiers. First appearance was in the Marvel A Real American Hero Comics issue number 69. And it basically there's the cover. Obviously, we can see Destro in his, you know, his new togs, and we can see the Iron Grenadiers behind him. Now, actually, in the comic, the uniform is revealed by the Sergeant Major. That's his bloody code name. At the end of the issue, as he's trying it on, saying how bonny it is. It's wee bonny, lad. Anyway, Destro's forces do obviously increase over time with additional special troopers, and I've mentioned a few of them already. Targat, Annihilators, Undertows, all like really good, strong, possible candidates for troop building. And I mean, some of them are just crazy good, aren't they? Yes, General Mayhem, another one, Rachel, of course. Sergeant Major Duncan, yeah. General Mayhem's a good shout actually, because that's one that again slipped by. You know, kind of goes under the radar a bit because it was a later release by the club, wasn't it? Yeah, we've mentioned Darklon a number of times, guys. A lot of people mentioning Darklon, but yeah, we've mentioned him. Darklon's a good shout as well. Like again, possibly. I mean, the vehicle might be a bit crazy, but I don't know. Is groundskeeper Willie in the IGs? Oh, get off my. Anyway, yes. What was the other? What was the other? Oh, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Did anyone say that? Did anyone say that in the comments? I think I pulled that out of my own butt though. There, didn't I? Yeah, Rowdy Roddy Piper. He was obviously inducted into the Iron Grenadiers. I do have. Yeah, yes, John. As I just mentioned, good timing. So yeah. Anyway, that's, you know, Destro's forces increase over time, as I imagine them to do so in the Classified series. Now, the only animated appearance I could find was in a Marvel issue 74 commercial, which again is like slap bang in the middle of the Civil War situation. And of course, you've got the IGs there on the screen. That's the best screenshot I could get of the IGs, because it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of like appearance, because they're almost like using a flamethrower, flipping round. The camera flips round them, and this is the only point where you see them nice and clear. The rest of the time, they're behind this orange glow with Destro standing next to them. But yeah, El Jefe, yes, Johnny, that is a deep cut. It is a deep cut. Yeah, like I could see Scrap Iron being in the Iron Grenadiers, honestly, because mainly it's a called out on his blooming file card that he works on. He's a weapons designer for Destro, basically. So yeah, like 100%. Ryan says, my very first comics were G.I. Joe 73, 74, and 75. Brilliant. I guess you got them all at once, because technically your first comic would have been 73, right? Did you get them all in one go? We will get to that, Rachel. We'll get to the Pursuit of Cobra bit in a bit. Hold your horses. We shall get there. So that's, yeah, the only animated appearance I could find. And it's weird because obviously we see version 2 Destro in the Deke cartoon. We see a lot of his troops in the Deke cartoon. But Iron Grenadiers kind of like are on that like precipice of release between Sunbow and Deke. So they kind of missed out a little bit, I think, with kind of an animated appearance, which is a shame because I think that'd have been great. And yeah, it's interesting that they didn't really show up in the Deke cartoon that I'm aware of. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I haven't had a chance to go through the whole Deke series again. I've seen it once through, and that was hard work, and that was many moons back. And then ever since then, I tried to go back through it again, but I kind of bow out after like the first couple of episodes, and I never get further than that. And I want to, but it's like, you know, there's other things out there that I want to watch and enjoy. And but yeah, anyway, it feels like a job trying to watch the Deke cartoon. Anyway, yeah, I was homesick with a nasty flu bug, and my mom and brother came home with those 3 Joe comics. Blonde Hawk confused the heck out of me. That's awesome, Ryan. That's really awesome. Yeah, but I'm really glad. I mean, hell, you were sick, but at least you got some Joe comics out of it, out of the deal. Now, this is the card back, the file card. I'm going to read it all out, so strap in. Codename Iron Grenadiers, Destro's Elite Troopers, specialties. Now, this is what got me as a kid. When I got this figure, I remember this stuck out to me massively. Specialties: terrorism, sales, marketing development. And if you read that out of context, you're like, that's ridiculous. It's cute, you're being silly, whatever. But when you kind of read the file card, it really does give you the context of what that really means. The Iron Grenadiers are handpicked from Destro's personal bodyguards, they say on the US card. The reason I'm saying that is because there'll be a slight change to the UK one. They are the spearhead of Destro's incursions into new territory, the Iron Grenadiers acting as agents, provocateurs, saboteurs, or outright terrorists, impel an unsuspecting country towards chaos and turmoil, thereby creating new markets for Destro's weapons where none existed before. Their pay is a percentage of gross sales. Imagine the slickest used car salesman you've ever met, Cobra Commander. Now imagine that he's also the trickiest accountant in the world. Got that? Try to picture what he would be like if that same guy was also a highly trained commando with expertise in explosives, small arms, and hand-to-hand combat. Top it off with the fact that no other mercenary group in the world wants them because of their history of turning on their superiors. That's what an Iron Grenadier is. Now, I just find it really fun and interesting at the depth they've gone to there to make those specialties make sense. And obviously it's that thing of they're creating these issues in order to open up new markets for Destro's weapons, and it just makes sense, doesn't it? It's really, really cool. We have sales background, finance background, just missing some marketing specialist Cobras. Well, here we are. We've got them. Iron Grenadiers are marketing specialists, marketing and sales. So amazing. It does sound a bit like Walmart, doesn't it, John? It sounds like Emily's job description says, right. That's so true. Terrorism, sales, terrorism on our wallets, sales, and I'm gonna mention that was mentioned in the chat. She'll love that. That's hilarious. Anyway, yeah. So again, love that. Love the background. Love the file card. Again, it's that thing of, yes, these are cool figures, but all of a sudden they've just got this life to them. There's no animated appearance with these. You get them in the comics they're in the comics fairly significantly in some storylines, and they pop up here and there. But the fact that we have this file card just really gives them so much more life and depth and interest, and I just absolutely love it. So yeah, that's great. I'm definitely telling Emily that, though. She's gonna find that hilarious. In fact, let's take a screenshot so I can send that to her, because she'll absolutely go nuts at how funny that is. Right, okay. Then of course we get the UK, the G.I. Joe the Action Force version pop up in 1990. So we get this a couple of years later in the United Kingdom on an G.I. Joe the Action Force card, as we have just changed branding for the, how many times at this point? We went from Action Force International Heroes, then it's G.I. Joe the Action Force, then it's G.I. Joe. Yeah. So this is the second iteration of rebrand. Now, what you might notice here, and this is something again I'm pulling out here because it's interesting. No Battle Force 2000 crossover, not even an Iron Grenadier logo in sight. No, it's changed to Cobra. Nothing about Destro in sight here, but they do basically lift the entire file card with the very, very small up change, which I'll show you in a second. So yeah, what I find really interesting here is the fact that there is no call out to Destro, no Iron Grenadier logo, nothing like that. It's just, yeah, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, right? So it's interesting they've done that. And also another thing to mention, digital background is red, yellow, and white, just like all of the digital backgrounds at that period on the those particular cards. So yeah. Just find that really interesting. Cobra logo, yada, yada, yada. Now, flip it over to the card, the file card, and as you can see, there are a few changes here. The image is more close up. The logo is the Cobra logo. But it does say Destro's Elite Troopers. Same file card, they've lifted everything, is exactly the same. They still mention that they're working effectively for, opening new markets for Destro's weapons, etc., etc. But I think in this particular situation, they didn't want to confuse kids in the UK by throwing in new factions and things, because we didn't necessarily have the comics. We did have a holiday special that delved a little bit into the Civil War, which is really annoying because we didn't get that completed, I don't think. So it was really annoying that we had that one random issue, you know, that had a little bit about the Cobra Civil War at the time, but didn't really, you know, go into. We didn't have the same narrative that was going on, basically. So I think rather than confuse kids by throwing a new logo on here, Destro's Troopers, why is Destro not with Cobra, etc., etc. So you get what I'm saying. Even though we kind of all sort of knew anyway, you know, it just one of those things, I guess. Yeah. So that's that. The only other change, the only change as well, like other than like font size and arc and shape and everything and color, is, and they've taken some of the registered trademark things off as well, is it says the Iron Grenadiers are handpicked from Destro's personal bodyguard, because obviously bodyguard and bodyguards can both be plural in that sense. So I think in British English, they tend to use that rather than bodyguards. Where that's used in the US. So again, that's your little grammar. That's your little grammar lesson for the day. Every time we do these file cards, I feel like there's a little grammatical change in there, a difference. Anyway, interesting for me and probably nobody else, but I love that. Anyway, moving on. And this is actually obviously not only in the UK. Not only was it released in the UK, it was also released in Europe. So we got, this is a French card. We also got them in, I want to say, the Benelux countries and most of Europe as well. I think the Iron Grenadier came out pretty much most places you could get GI Joe figures in the kind of UK and Europe areas and Benelux and what have you. So yeah, just nice that we managed to get a French card on there. Now, I think we're into 91 now. Yeah, 1991. Forza Destro is kind of revealed, well, not revealed, you know what I'm saying, is released for the by Estrella for the Brazilian GI Joe line, which I found really interesting because, like, they've kind of taken, there's a lot of things to kind of take into account here. Terrork or Terra K is the name for the Iron Grenadier, which I think is really cool. Couldn't find a card back of it though. I'm sure you can find them. I'm sure people have them in the, you know, I'm sure they exist. I just, in my very minimal research, couldn't find a card back for the Brazilian Iron Grenadier figure carded, but obviously did find this, which I thought was really cool. Now, what is really interesting about Forza Destro is that we got new art for Destro and randomly Overlord in the bottom there, who also got some new artwork for the Forza Destro line as single figure releases, as opposed to the despoiler with Destro and whatever the hell Overlord comes with. You know what I'm talking about, that thing. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they came single figures, I think. So what is also really interesting is the fact they threw Dr. Mindbender and the Astro Viper into Forza Destro, and they went with that Battle Force 2000 deco for the explosion in the background, which again I think is really interesting and vibey. But I think they do Battle Forza 2000 as well, so that makes a lot of sense. They wanted to keep that theme connected, basically, which is really cool. Anyway, 1991, Brazil, Forza Destro, Terrork. Sorry, no carded image because, again, I failed you. They do exist. I'm an idiot. Right, now we move into the new sculpt era. Iron Grenadiers version 2. Completely redesigned, really, for Spy Troops in 2003. Came in a 2-pack with Recondo version 3. Yeah, there it is. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. I did plan this. So there you are. There's the figure in box. Now, one thing I didn't show you was the fact that the figure before doesn't have the helmet or the shoulder pads on. When they had the helmet and the shoulder pads, it does look a little bit more Iron Grenadier-ish. At the moment, it just looks like Torpedo or something. But yeah, it was like I said, released on in a 2-pack with Recondo version 3 and a single carded in 2004 in the and in a third time in the Kmart exclusive Operation Avalanche box set. Ready? Boom. There you go. Now, this Valor versus Venom box set had like 3 vehicles in it. Yeah, it's got the 2 like gliders and the kind of like I forget what the vehicle is that comes, the Joe one, but it's like a little kind of ride on kind of ferret-y kind of thing in it, but I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, that is that's pretty much it for the Iron Grenadiers version 2. Complete redesign, but you're kind of getting the vibes, and you'll see the vibes more so when you see the repaint of version 3 they did. There you go. Helmet and shoulder pads on now. Grey repaint of the version 2, as I said. Released in 2003 in the Spy Troops 2-pack with Lady J version 4. There it is. The version 2 and 3 featured the lyrics to the Iron Grenadier marching song, which I'm going to sing to you now. Are you guys ready for this? I'm just kidding. I'm going to read it out. But this is what I really loved about the new sculpt era file cards. Crap like this. We are the Iron Grenadiers. We have no hearts, we have no fears. We'll sell you guns, we'll sell you spears. We'll make you pay for years and years. We are the Iron Grenadiers. I love that. Absolutely love that. I want to march with other people, and I want to sing this song as we march. Can we do that? Let's get a marching team together and do this. But no, I just think this is really fun. And like just adorable and brilliant. And I'm just going to go back to this image of the version 3 because it does show you obviously the kind of design does evoke more like the Iron Grenadier in this, kind of format with the helmet and the shoulder pads and everything. And I do quite dig it. And honestly, this deco, this grey, has been utilized again in the future, and we'll come to it obviously when we get to the kind of modern era and see what they did with some of those decos. And I think the homages are there from some of these previous versions. And then obviously version 4, which is a winter camo redeco with a black and red helmet and shoulder pads, which I think is quite snazzy. And again, I look at these and I think, oh, I wonder if they'll do like a classified repaint of this in the future. Do you know what I mean? Like I could see them doing something like this. And again, I want to say that this kind of camo is sort of reutilized again in the future, which we'll get to shortly. I could probably get that march organized at a JoeCon or Fest. Yeah, I probably could actually, Ryan. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of love this camo version, Darren, as well. Hello, Darren. I know you just kind of joined as well. Hello, Diana, as well. I love that sword and machine gun, but somehow lost that pistol, says Josh. Which one are we on the earlier versions? You'll have to let me know, Josh, which one you're talking about. On my phone, the deco looks like tinfoil. It does a little bit. It's also not the best image in the world. I apologize. If we get those 4 recolored Design Grenadier colors for Destro's team, that would be radical. Yeah, big time. Battle of the Bands, IGs versus Cold Slither, Leon. Yes. They'll do all the repaints that they can think of. Absolutely, Shane. But then again, I kind of like repaints. And when they are significantly different, I love them. When they're like a Baroness retro figure, I'm like, I'll still get it, but and then the Baroness retro figures up there on display because Kate stole my the first one we had. We've got 2 though, so just one's in a box. The one with the coil cycle, and because we had 2, Kate wanted to do and she did an amazing custom Baroness Ironblood using the not even using that figure, just using the head. I think a lot of the other parts she sculpted. She used a bit of scarlet. It's just, she's phenomenal. Big shout out to my wonderful wife, who has got so many skills in the customs department. It's just not even funny. Anyway, so that is that. And again, I'll come back to this kind of deco in a little while, and probably it'll morph into something else in what I think we'll probably see in the classified line in the future. 2004 Valor vs. Venom 2-pack with Duke version 14. Obviously, this figure, a slight departure from previous decos. And like I said, gives us that possible classified repaint in the future. Now, Iron Grenadiers version 5. Another interesting one. 2005 JoeCon exclusive box set. The General Mayhem Mars Invade set. It used the original head sculpt from the version 1 Iron Grenadier, excuse me, and the entire body from the version 1 Night Viper. And like the build made them more tactical than they had appeared previously, I would say, as well. But I've got to say, I kind of like the idea of them having their formal and and then you're kind of in the trenches sort of vibe. And this is definitely more practical, more tactical, with the Night Viper body. And then, funnily enough, I've got to say that I like the deco, even though it kind of does make it a little bit fancy. When you put gold on it, you're kind of still making it a bit fancy, if you know what I mean. But you're not gonna, that's the deco for Iron Grenadiers, so that's just what's going to happen. But I do like this. I like this version. I think it's a really cool figure. I like the kind of kit bash aspect of it. Anvils did show up in that set, didn't they, Darren? Yes, for the first time with the club. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. Anywho, yeah, that's that. Now, not version 6, but Sigma 6. Now we're in 2007. Yes, we get a single box figure. No mention of Destro on the box. Cobra infantry. And I don't even know if they showed up in the cartoon. I don't think they showed up in the cartoon. Again, because again, like the only animated appearance I think that I've seen of the Iron Grenadiers is that Marvel issue 74 commercial. Now, I might be wrong. I should have asked Justin, shouldn't I? Justin would have known. But I'm pretty sure they don't appear in the cartoon. If they do, I apologize, but I couldn't find any images, and I wasn't about to go through the entire Sigma 6 cartoon. If I've had trouble getting through the Deke one, of course I'm going to have trouble getting through the Sigma 6 one. As much as I love the figures, though, this is 8-inch, of course, for those that are not versed in the world of Sigma 6. And yeah, pretty cool design. A little bit of maroon in there. Again, the grey is coming out here, and I think that's again like a holdover from the grey version, the grey repaint of the version 2, the version 3, basically. So I think that's kind of like bleeding through into this particular version of the Iron Grenadiers, but still really cool. Like I said, no mention of Destro, none of that kind of faction scenario going on here, just Cobra infantry on this one. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, ask your son, who's just gone through and watched all of Sigma 6. Actually, someone's joking there. Mike, you just joked that they look better than Python Patrol, right? And now I'm thinking, man, I'm looking at that and looking at the Battle Android Trooper and thinking, actually, the deco is lining up a little bit. Or maybe it's like flipped, because I can't remember what the pants were on the... Yeah, they're grey pants, aren't they? So it's almost like a flipped round version of that. Yeah, I didn't think they were in there, Darren. I didn't think they were in there. But anyway, cool. Thanks for checking. Now, there's that Justin Bell. There's your Sigma 6 shout out, buddy. Again, love the figures. I really was a big fan of the figures. I kind of got back into G.I. Joe through Sigma 6 when, like, because after high school, it was kind of like, there wasn't. It's not like they were being sold on shelves anyway. And then I got back into Sigma 6 in a massive way when I was in the States in like 2004. I want to say 2004, maybe 2002 actually. When did I got back into the comics? I think it was 2004. Into the comics, because I think didn't Devil's Due come out at that point, or Image Devil's Due came out at that point? Anyway, I got back into it, and Sigma 6 was like a I think in 2006 when I was out in the States, I bought a ton, absolute crap ton of Sigma 6 figures, mainly Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I don't think I got anything else. I think it was just Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow I was focusing on, and I loved that Winter Snake Eyes one with the timber. Oh, absolutely loved that. 2003 was the start of Image DDP. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, so I was there in 02, 03, 04, 05. So yeah, it would have been in around 2003 when it would have been the second year that I got back into it then. Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, Devil's Due was 2001, says Jeremy. Yes, because it was back issues I got, Jeremy. So this was the thing. 2002, I was in the US, didn't know about the comic, went into a comic book shop with a mate, with a friend of mine, shout out to Rosie, and he basically took me to his old place in New Jersey, not his old place, where his family lived, and just around the corner from him was a comic store, and he said, would you want to go? And I'm like, yes. I'm still like a nerd. I loved comics at the time. I was still like, a nerd. I just wasn't collecting toys at that point. And he said to me, yeah, let's go to Zap Comics in New Jersey. If you're in New Jersey and you've ever heard of Zap Comics, is it still there? I don't know. I should check it out, really, because it's not far from me now, is it? Really, technically. I'm going to blooming look that up again. Anyway, Rosie took me to this comic store, and they had an amazing, like loads of G.I. Joe figures on display, like O-ring ones on, huge collection, beautiful collection on display. And I was really like vibing. But the first thing I saw when I came in, they had a comic stand with 10 back issues of the new G.I. Joe comic. And I'm like, yes, thank you very much. I shall have all of these, buying them now. And just got all 10 issues and went absolutely nuts. It was just because, that's like binge watching a TV show you didn't know existed. That's like when you get them all at once. Like, it wasn't even a trade; it was just all back issues. But they had like all 10 of them were like placed out on the front as you walked in the door. There they were, and I was like, I'm in, absolutely in. So massive shout out to Zap Comics in New Jersey. Do I have the black or white timber with the Arctic SE, says Darren? I have the whitey grey one. I don't have the black one. I know the black one was I'm pretty sure the black one was the hardest one to get, right, Darren? I'm pretty sure the one I have isn't hard to get. Anywho, thanks for that. This is why I like doing these shows with other people in the chat, because people can correct me, or they can find we can have these convos. I like it. You have issue 1 signed by Blaylock. That's cool, Jeremy. Have to one up me, don't you? There's me getting a whole load of back issues, and you've got them signed. Anyway, yes. So Iron Grenadiers, Sigma 6. That's that. Moving on, we get the version 6 now, because they don't count Sigma 6 as versions because of the kind of drastic difference going from like 3 3/4 to 4 inches. Is you can keep that in a kind of version territory, but if you're talking like Kre-O and Combat Heroes and Sigma 6 and 12-inch, and that's like you have to kind of separate them. And I kind of understand why they did that with Yojo back in the day. So Sigma 6 isn't a version of it, but it is a version of it in the same way. So Iron Grenadiers version 6, the first modern era 4-inch figure for the IGs, released in 2008, single carded, of course. Also, no, not single carded. What am I talking about? Sorry, what am I talking about? Comic pack it came out in with 2 different versions of Destro and issue number 7. Of course, we had the first version of Destro in that kind of blue sort of was it the comic deco, or was it the cartoon deco? I can't remember what reason it was for him being blue, other than it wasn't it wasn't action figure related. Obviously it was more media related, but I can't remember why. Anyway, he had a gold, obviously the classic gold head on his head. And then they did a random obsidian black version, I think it was called. I think it was called Obsidian. I think that's what they called it. But again, crazy. And I love that figure for having that head. It's just really vibey. There's something really dark, obviously there's something dark about it. It's obsidian. But like it was something like mysterious and creepy about it. Love it, man. I think it's awesome. So yeah, and obviously you've got the Iron Grenadiers. What was funny about this particular Iron Grenadier is the fact that it was available in so many different ways, because it was available in so many different versions. You could army build it real easy. Like I had both those comic packs, and then there was another comic pack that came out with a ever so slight variation deco. I mean, you're talking like shades, aren't you? I think it's like one's got matte helmet, one's got a kind of a gloss helmet. It's very like minor things like that, basically. But this one came with the Viper version 16 and issue 86, of course. And then we had that Iron Grenadier command set 3-pack, which again was quite easy to come across. Like I had, I mean, I'm pretty sure this was in Nick's in-demand store like from forever. He might still have it, although I might have bought it off him eventually. But yeah, and also I will say that it was actually called the Officer, even though it was completely identical to that other figure. They called it the Iron Grenadier Officer, the red one, and then there was another one in that set in purple, which we'll get to in a second because it's a different version. So we'll come back to this command set, don't you worry. But the one on the left of that 3-pack, the red mask version, was effectively identical to the other ones. It was just called the Officer. There you go. And once again, of course, in 2016 for the 50th anniversary with the Cobra Viper version 28. So that figure has really been utilized, hasn't it? The effort to get those 3-packs out of the tubes, Leon, I'm with you on that one. I loved those 3-packs though. I thought they were really cool ideas. I really liked the idea of them, but it was like some of them I found really hard to get hold of. This one I didn't find hard to get hold of, but there was like the air command, there was a sea command. There was it was really good idea, and I wish they'd kind of done it more. But packaging was an absolute burden trying to get into. Really great for displaying, but like nothing else. Do you know what I mean? Getting into them hard. Sorry, I'm just multitasking because I know that when I'm on these shows, news usually breaks in the background, doesn't it? Anyway, no. Someone's just sent me an image of the popcorn bucket for June 2, and it looks hilarious. Like, I can't even describe what I think it looks like. I think you know what I'm getting at, though. Anyway, yeah, the 2-pack looks great. Sorry, is great. 50th anniversary, boom, got those figures again. And again, if you want to army build Iron Grenadiers, this particular Iron Grenadier, or just buy the different versions of it, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions of it. And then you've got another version, technically, with this guy coming up next. You ready? Version 7. Effectively a repaint of the version 6 with purple accents instead of red. This, I could see them doing as a very, very simple repaint in the Classified series. Like, I almost assume this is going to happen because it exists, that they're going to do the same thing for, I don't know, for some sort of 3-pack or something, and make this one, though, make this one with the purple, the Officer, rather than the one with the red mask. Or they might do the red mask Officer, but that wouldn't make any sense, would it? Because you'd already have one. Effectively, though, I think we'll get a 3-pack. You know how we've got the Vipers, and I could see them doing this, maybe those 2 heavy artillery dudes, which we'll get to in a second. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Oh, that'd be so dope. Anyway, yeah, this is a simple one, very easy, very quick. We've already talked about it, so we'll move on to version 8. Now we're getting into the modern. Now we get into the real beauties of the 4-inch world. Pursuit of Bloody Cobra still, for me, is one of the real highlights of the brand. Obviously, Classified for me has been absolutely phenomenal as well. You know, Retaliation, not the movie, but the period of time for the figures was also great. Obviously, the 30th was pretty good. I mean, we've had some real nice, cool, like this whole period, Pursuit, 30th, Retaliation, some absolutely fantastic figures, new reiterations, reimaginings, redos of like reissues, but you know, in a really cool way. But Pursuit of Cobra, man, it just opens so many doors, and this figure just gets better and better and better for me. What is interesting though, multiple variations of this bad boy. So you've got this heavy artillery Iron Grenadier, loads of gear on him, wicked deco, huge mini, like what they called, what's it called? A Steadicam gun. I think it's a Steadicam. It's pretty massive anyway, but it's just crazy. I just love the idea of it. I love everything about it, and it's got some like Warhammer vibes. It looks like a Space Marine, doesn't it? Like the helmet, like kind of, you know, that kind of thing where they used to do really funny, you'd have like World War II shapes in helmets, and then you'd have the rest of it with this bulky futuristic gear. That's what this is doing, and I love every second of it. It's like if they did a World War II sort of future mashup, or kind of like a what if sort of thing, it's like Transformers meets World War II, and they get more futuristic, but the designs stay very similar. And that's something about the Iron Grenadiers. They do have that kind of very German-esque kind of helmet vibe going on, don't they? But yeah, this has got Warhammer Space Marine all over it for me. Anyway, lots of variations. So Pursuit of Cobra 2011 there's a release, and you can see the variations in the bottom left-hand corner there. So the first one has a very prominent camo on the legs and on the upper arms as well. The second variation, the 30th in 2011, came on that 30th card, of course. They kind of basically took the camo out of the equation, which again makes for some nice variation in your troops, actually. When you've got all the gear on, you can hardly see it anyway. But you do kind of get these like differences in that, but it makes the army building experience a bit more interesting, in my opinion. I did like the fact I was one of those people that was like, right, I've got the Pursuit of Cobra version, but I need to get this running change variation that's in the 30th card. I need it. So I got that. And then, of course, the 50th in 2015, again, you get the reintroduction of the camo on the legs. And does it have them on the upper arms? I think it does. No, it doesn't really, does it? No, I can't tell. Anyway, the camo does come back on the legs. So you get, but it's slightly different. So again, you get different camo on this one. And yeah, I that's all I'm saying is I was just really stoked that we kept getting this figure, and I love that we got it with the Steel Brigade figure in the 50th, because boy, did I army build Steel Brigade 4-inch and Iron Grenadier heavy gunners, because I got like, I can't remember how many I got of those particular ones, but I had multiples of the Pursuit of Cobra and 30th of both, because Steel Brigade is another variant absolute nightmare. So many variations of the Steel Brigade figure, in the almost as if they did it on purpose to homage the original releases from back in the day. Just hilarious. It was almost like there you go, there's an homage of the amount of variations you can get of the original Steel Brigade figure. We're going to do it in a 4-inch version as well for you. But yeah, so I've got like loads of Steel Brigade and loads of Iron Grenadier heavy gunners. But anyway, love that version 8. That's one of my favorites, actually, and I would be well into them doing this for the Classified series at some stage. Yeah, right. So next up, version 9. Now, the next 3 versions were all released in the 2012 JoeCon exclusive October Guard box set, Operation Bear Trap. This is, I remember getting somebody to pick this up for me in the US at JoeCon, because this was before I was making my way out to JoeCons. My first one was 2015, I think it was. Whatever the Dallas one was, that was my first one. The Dallas Fort Worth one. That was an amazing experience. I loved every second of it, and then I kept going every year afterwards. It was like really important to make it out there each time. But 2012, I was aware of the convention, and I loved their box sets. And this one spoke to me. Like, the October Guard figures were phenomenal, and the Iron Grenadiers that came in this set were just brilliant. Winter operations sort of vibes as well. And again, the crossover here of that kind of World War II meets future mashup, I love it. Obviously, the grey being utilized heavily here for this particular version of the Iron Grenadiers, and I love it. And again, slightly variation in the jacket here as well. I think, was Dallas 2014, Rachel? Yeah, it was 2014 was the one I went to first then. I thought Indianapolis was 2014. Anyway, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, really loving this particular version, and I think the lower portion of the body there, the jacket, I think that's the Baroness in it. Is it the Baroness jacket that was used on a bunch of? Might have been. Anyway, I do love this. I thought it was a great use of this particular figure build. Anyway, yeah, love to see this done. And then obviously you get version 10, which is again a different color, a kind of darker gray with the gold kind of in there as well. I think this is a flamethrower he's grappling, or a heavy artillery. This guy, isn't it? Blooming like bazooka on the back and friggin' all sorts of stuff going on. Black helmet, red face mask, but you've still got that kind of Iron Grenadier secondary, which I think, you know, is kind of like the call out on all of them. Yeah, it's on all of it. It's great. And then finally, version 11, which is the kind of maroon or kind of burgundy kind of color, red. And again, got that kind of logo on the jacket as well, and the grey. Just, I absolutely fell in love with these. Just genuinely fell in love with them. And I know like articulation is hindered because of the kind of jacket pieces. Boop, boop. They're all different as well, aren't they? That's so cool. I love the fact they're all so different. And I think this was a real win, honestly, for con exclusive sets. This was like, I remember this and the Night Force set being really solid. The Tiger Force one was one of my all-time favorites. And then it started to get a little bit like, I don't know, like they were trying to do too much in too short a time and on the same budget. And anyway, either way, this was an absolute golden era for 4-inch figures, and I absolutely adored this box set so much. But I'd love to see this in some sort of classified form, like Winter Operations Iron Grenadiers. And obviously, you know, you have to look at like what we've looked at before. You have to look at these kind of guys because they look like they're ready for winter operations with that heavy artillery gear and that what they're wearing and everything like that. Not just not just this guy, but, you know, like, again, I would be well up for them doing something like this for the Iron Grenadiers, kind of redecoing the standard figure. But I think my heart is going to be with these kind of vibes. Absolutely love them. Anyway, that's 2012. Then we move into the Kre-O 2015, the SDCC exclusive box set Construction Commandos, Sergeant Slaughter's Marauders versus Destro's Iron Grenadiers. And this was the last time we saw the Iron Grenadiers in figure form, I believe. Did I miss anything? Because I'm pretty sure this is it for Iron Grenadiers at this point. Again, what more can you say? They did 3 kind of different versions. There's your kind of standard Iron Grenadier with the sword and the pistol, very much kind of probably like the officer. And then you've got 2, I'm guessing, sort of like troopers after that. But they are different, obviously. But yeah, that's what I'm guessing that you're getting with the Iron Grenadier set there. Obviously, that set came with the Prophet Director Destro. I'm not saying the other one. Darklon, Voltar, and then Slaughter's Marauders came with the triple bloomin' T, and obviously the Marauders, which is great. Spirit, Barbecue. Who else was in that? Mutt, Footloose, and who's the other one I've completely forgotten? I've completely forgotten the other one. Low Light, right? But who is? I think it's Low Light. Yeah. Anyway, by the by, I can't even remember what's in that set. I have never opened that. Do you know that? I was so scared that it was going to be so difficult to find, and never opened it. It's a really cool box set as well, though. It's got like the different sets inside a box, with the kind of green Kre-O with all the artwork on it and everything. But then when you take it out, you've got the triple T. It's got its own box art. You've got the kind of like the figures are on cards and everything. It's gorgeous. It's really nice display and everything. I loved that little set, but never got into it. Never enjoyed it. What is wrong with me? So anyway, that's the Iron Grenadiers Kre-O. Then that's it. Now we're talking Iron Grenadiers Classified, guys. This is where we can get into the conversation now about Classified. So what can we expect? Well, we know for a fact that Iron Grenadiers, based on listings, of course, are going to be one of the standard 4-figure wave. Now, because of that, we know it's not going to be deluxe. We know it's not going to have tons and tons. It's not going to be the one I want it to be. The heavy artillery guy, not yet anyway. But like, what I would say is, I just fully expect them to go very basic here, as in, the figure, the pistol, the submachine gun, the sword, sheath, and that's it. Secondary and helmet, maybe a removable helmet, and you can get like a mask comes off as well, possibly. Because you could do something like that. You could do it so the helmet's removable and you could see like a balaclava face underneath or something. That I could see them doing, because you've got a bit of scope there if it's just that figure in a box, if you know what I mean, on a regular retail version. Very in-depth IG coverage. I forgot about Kre-O and Sigma 6. Well, thanks, Rachel. So did I. And what I will basically give that up to the rest of the team, because I put an all points bulletin out, gave them a list and said, guys, am I missing anything here? And I believe it was Pat that said Sigma 6 and it was Adam that said Kre-O. And I was like, oh, thanks, guys. So, yeah, because I completely forgot that I knew the Iron Grenadiers had been done to a degree, but I didn't know the Iron Grenadier figure was in that set, because I've never opened it. Questions are coming in. Interesting. Medic 1849 says Medic _ 1849 says was out of G.I. Joe long before the IGs. This was a great history lesson. I'm glad I could help there. That's awesome. Jeremy says probably rifle, pistol, sword. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Shane says, do you think they'll do version 2 Destro? I can't see them not doing him, Shane. I think it would be crazy. What's more specific about that is I think they're going to do him and the despoiler. I think Destro in a vehicle would be perfect, wouldn't it, for this kind of like size of vehicles they're doing for retail. It would make sense. It would be with a very popular Destro figure. I think they would be hard. They would be crazy not to do it. Yeah, it would be effectively what I think will be very close to the vintage design, 100%. I expect the secondary, the classic kind of gold secondary across them. I expect the red pistol with a sheath. The submachine gun might have a sheath. The sword, the sheath for that hooks onto the side. You never know. They might even throw in some sort of like knife or something as well. I could see that being thrown in there. Yeah, I'd be well up for that. And again, keep it simple. Retail version, army build the crap out of them. Jobs are good. And then we can get things in the future. We can get 3-packs where we can get heavy artillery Iron Grenadiers and winter operations ones and stuff like that. They're the ones I want to see them do. Now, what do I expect them? Oh, there we are. That's what I expect them to do. But what do I expect them to do in terms of your kind of repaints and what have you? Well, I think you're going to probably get that purple one, where it's just a purple instead of red. I could see that. I could see them doing that very easily. Maybe even in like I said, in some sort of multi-pack, so you could kind of army build them as well, or make it like an officer or something like that. I don't know, whatever. But that's another thing. I can see them delving into that territory, like Iron Grenadier officer, Iron Grenadier infantry squad leader, etc., etc. Anyway, I want Craze Blaze Iron Grenadier in Classified 4. Mate, that is a deep cut, Benedict. I like that deep cut. Crimson IG, yes, female IG. Good shouts, Rachel. Crimson Iron Grenadier. Oh, that's going to happen, isn't it? And the female Iron Grenadier, though, 100% expect to. Really agree with you on that one, definitely. The Almost Afraid of the Iron Grenadier bat. I reckon it'll be cool. I reckon it'll be what we expect it to be, but I also expect him to do something with the helmet, with the head, because in the same way they did the Arctic bat. Maybe it's just an Arctic bat, but Iron Grenadiered up, so you get the chainsaw and you get the new head. Maybe they'll throw in some other pieces. I don't know. Maybe they'll do away with the chainsaw because that's a little bit too brutal for like what you'd expect like the Iron Grenadiers to be, more like a bit cleaner, don't you? A bit more kind of savvy, more kind of it's not brute force you're being used with the IGs. It's like you know, like lasers and more kind of futuristic kind of weapons development and stuff like that. Yeah, multi-pack with male and female would make sense, Josh. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, factions within the factions. I'm not sure I want a Crimson. I don't think they'll do a Crimson and Iron Grenadier. I don't think they will. Like I said, I could see them doing other things. Sword attachment is a good shout, actually, Paul. Yeah, the sword attachment that I kind of have expected every single bat that they've released to kind of throw it in somewhere, but a sword attachment would make sense because of the whole, you know, ceremonial sword situation with the Iron Grenadiers. So I can see that happening, definitely. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. And the other thing I was going to say, obviously, like I'd love them to do the winter versions and the heavy artillery versions, but I could definitely see them just doing repaints for the time being of this version of the figure, and I'd be here for it, honestly. Anyway, that is everything for the Iron Grenadier. Let's talk Classified Iron Grenadier. I hope you had fun with that one. I certainly did. It's a bit of an interesting way of doing it. Less work for me somehow, although it was a lot of graphics work, but definitely less work in what I usually have to do with the edit. So that is actually something I'm going to avoid like the plague from now on. Less edited videos and more live stuff. Anyway, I would expect. Let's think. I'm going to go back to. Man, we've had a lot of slides in this. Yeah, let's go back to this. The name only reveals section, because so far we can cross off everything in the middle now in terms of videos that we've covered now. So we've talked Alpine, we talked Jinx, we talked Doc. We haven't done Retro Beachhead. Although it's not really worth doing, is it? Because I've or is it? It might be. Well, it might not, because I think we just know it's going to be a very vintage inspired beachhead, don't we? Like I can't really see a need to do that video. So I think we know what's going to go on there, don't we? But Night Creeper we did Torch, we've done Cobra Ferret, I've done Norgahide. Obviously not Retro Eels and Snow Serpent, a bit too obvious there. Iron Grenadiers, Raptor. So that leaves Starduster, Leatherneck, Nemesis Immortal / Enforcer, and Xandar. So we'll be doing those obviously sooner rather than later. I'm going to try and squeeze another one out over the weekend, Kitty said. Probably going to do who can I do next? Let's go back to the Joes, and we'll do Leatherneck next, I think. And then we'll flip over to do, you know, Nemesis, and then we'll do Starduster, and then we'll do Xandar. Yeah, we'll do that. So we'll do Leatherneck next, and Leather next. Yeah. And that should be an easier one, because there aren't that many figures to talk about. Same with Xandar, same with Nemesis, same with Starduster. So that should be a lot easier for me. Anyway, I want to do them quickly because I've got a feeling, obviously, the next live event that we're going to have, there's going to be a ton of renders on show. I think, you know, I fully expect Alpine, Jinx, Doc, Night Creeper, Torch, any of these. The Ferret could be revealed. Norgahide, like even Iron Grenadiers, even Raptor, any of those could come out. So I just want to kind of get ahead of it before I lose the opportunity to. So while I've been on this show, I've been messing around with Big Ben's head off camera. Just been like screwing around. It's so weird that I'm playing with his head, Kitty said. Anyway, I've also got this one under here. I've got like loads. There's loads of heads down here for some reason, like Grunt and Chuckles. I've got a Valkyrie and Valkyries, Televipers, other Valkyries, other Televipers. I've got a Snow Job. He says, throwing it literally onto his lap. There we go. I've got Snow Job's head there with his little neck piece on it as well. Why have I got all these heads down here? I've kind of got... No, I've thrown that on the floor. I'm never getting that back. I just threw Tripwire on the ground. Well, Tripwire's helmet, Kitty said. Sorry, I will get back to Why do I keep dropping things? I feel like my motor functions are going. It's not his head sculpt. It's his helmet and his neck piece. I've just thrown down again. Crazy. And of course, the infamous Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow heads. Oh, I've also got fists down here as well. Yeah. I've got Chuckles chuckle dusters. And loads of blast effects and a skateboard. Yep, tech deck of Skeletron. You gotta love the Robo Skull, brilliant, isn't it? Love it. Little Robo Skull in the shot there. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. A couple of there's loads of crap on my desk. I don't know why I'm showing you everything. It's happening though, isn't it? A couple of figure stands. I've got a very tiny Sergeant Slaughter. You can tell I've been like organizing my classified collection. This is a beauty, right? This is from Assembly Required. This is the bubble. Why am I? Let's transition, and we'll have a bit closer look at all this stuff, shall we? Here we are. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. Original Breaker bubblegum, 2 pieces. Now this was done for the AR show a while back. Nothing bursts my bubble on both sides. It's really cool. Original Breaker bubblegum, absolutely brilliant. And then inside, when you open it up, because it's kind of glued down, I'm not even sure if they're in here though. That's the thing. Are they in here? Probably not now. I think I glued that down. No, they are in there. One of them is anyway. It is a bit of bubble gum that fits on Breaker's little mouthpiece on the classified figure. So it looks like he's blowing bubbles. And there's one with a pop as well, which I've lost. Is it on the figure? No. I wonder where that's gone. I bet I'll find that at some point and be like, oh, there you are. But yeah, as for now, that's a massive good shout out to the wonderful Brian Sauer. He does a lot of our he does all of our kind of graphic overlays, and obviously runs Assembly Required. I've also got a little gears down here as well. Look, little gears, little transformer, lovely stuff. Anything else I can show you down here? Just blast effects by the crap ton. Lots of them, all of them basically right there. But yeah, loads of heads and stuff. It's kind of weird. Anyway, yeah, you can tell I've been organizing all of my classified collection over that side of the room, because I've got all these like extra pieces. They're actually, most of them being contained in different containers. So I need to organize this stuff. In fact, I'm going to do that right this second after I get off this call with you guys. Right. Yeah, Darren says, dude, you need to get an organizer for all that. Walmart, $6. Oh, thanks, Darren. I'm all over that. Do I have to go to Walmart though? Do I know when the next reveal will be? Not the next reveal, but we're expecting the next live event to be the February the 1st. We just expect that. It might not be, but that's the expectation. Don't know is the answer to that question. Swapped my Chuckles head for a Quasar head. Works better. Interesting, Leon. So I'm just trying to catch up on some comments and questions and that. Special Mission Brazil Leatherneck, says Jeremy. I guess, yeah, obviously. Leatherneck, Special Missions Brazil Leatherneck, modern tan version as well. There's a few. It's not loads, but there's enough to work with, I guess, on that one. I kind of liked his modern 4-inch figure that was kind of huge. I thought it was great. What if they made the Iron Grenadier look from the comic books? Yeah, anything's an option, I guess, but they'll probably hold some stuff like that for the retro series, won't they? I can't. Xandar is 2025. Is he? I guess so. Because he was name only revealed recently, wasn't in the last one. I don't know. You might get him. You might get him in 2024. Might be right at the end. Sorry, I'm still catching up a little bit. I really thought they would do Blowtorch, says Shane. They'll get to Blowtorch. Blowtorch will happen at some point. Arctic Big Ben was a favourite of mine. Yeah, Big Ben, man. Arctic. I'd love to see them do an Arctic Big Ben. I'd love that, 100%. Still radio silence on the SMS with Techno Viper. 80s Toy Boy. Well, it's probably going to be the next reveal at the next live event, I'd imagine. Nothing like. I mean, we never get anything concrete, do we? I mean, there'll be like pre-order information, but even then, you're kind of like going, "Oh, is it going to be that, or is it going to be something else?" But for the most part, the most obvious answer is usually right. So I imagine the SMS with Techno Viper will be the next main reveal at the event, which has got to be very soon as well. Can't wait to unbuild the Night Creepers, Shane. Yeah, same. Oh, Night Creepers are the best. Pork chop sandwiches, brilliant. Blowtorch will come after Torch. They will use the same fire effects, says Derek. That would be really cool, wouldn't it? Everyone's saying that Blowtorch needs pork chop sandwiches. Absolutely. How many classified figures do you think you have now? Not as many as you, Paul, because you buy like 4 or 5 at a time. I'm not that crazy with it. Like originally I was getting 2 of everything unless it was an army builder in which I get 4. Or like if I could get 2, that's fine. But if I saw a 3rd and a 4th, they would join the team. The craziest one I went on was the infantry, Cobra infantry, which I ended up getting like a whole case of from Roma Collectibles on top of the pre-order I had for Pulse, on top of a pre-order I had elsewhere, on top of a pre-order I had elsewhere. So I ended up with a lot of infantry. But in terms of the rest of them, like just the amount that are out, plus maybe double that, and then add a few for infantry and a few other. I've got a lot. Probably about 200 something figures already. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. It's nuts. Quick Kit gets Fudgy Bar, but they didn't give Breaker his bubblegum. Yeah, that was kind of before they started doing all of the vintage kind of inspired design stuff, didn't it? And like throwing in those kind of homage things wasn't something they usually do. Rachel, Chris, where did you get the Action Force backdrop? This one, Kraken, that is it's a blanket, and it's a wonderful present from my wonderful friends at Roma Collectibles, Aaron and Mary Mercenary Cosplay. Got it for Kate and I as an anniversary gift, which was really cool. We met up with them at, I want to say it was the Kansas City Comic Con, and we just had our wedding anniversary, I think, at the time, and we go and meet them in the hotel before going out for dinner, and we go in the room, and that like opened the door, and that was in the doorway, and I was like, what? And he said, it's a present. So yeah, massive shout out to Aaron and Mary Mercenary Cosplay for that. Love you guys to the moon and back. The other side is just a bunch of promo boxes that I've stacked up to flex. Not at all. I've just stacked up because it looks cool and it's nice background fodder. Because it's nice little, like, I like it. I like my background. 50th anniversary 50th anniversary Leatherneck was great. Love that one, Darren. Transformers stream on the 30th. Think we'll get a Joe stream that soon after, says Ato. Probably. I do, yeah. I genuinely do. They don't necessarily they're not too worried about crossover in that sense. They know the fandoms are pretty fractured now anyway. Like, you know, there's some crossover, but for the most part, you know, if you're collecting classified, that's what you're collecting. For the most part, I'm not saying that's everyone, because I know a lot of people collect on multiple fronts, and I used to do that, but I just can't do it anymore. It's just ridiculous. They said the latest name reveals may push into 2025. Thank you, Leon. Appreciate that. I still need to watch that interview with that Dan Who Reviews did with Lenny and Emily. I feel really bad for not having done it yet. they can put up about best. Derek has 136 classified. Yeah, I've definitely got more than that, Derek. Again, mainly from getting like multiples early on. The only ones I passed on were Movie and the Blue Ninja 2 pack, says Leon. I can't. I mean, the only ones I've passed on so far are the ones that I'm having to like hold off on buying until we're in a better position. But yeah, I would buy all of them constantly if I saw them in every store. If I had the means, every store I went in, I'd buy them all up. Every store. I would offset the actual fandom and what they're buying, because I would just buy all of it as soon as I went into a store, just clear the shelves out. Chris, how many figures do you predict will get this year in classified? Standard Retro, Python Patrol, Tiger Force, etc. Matt, I haven't counted them, but it's a lot, and it's probably on par with what we had this year, maybe a bit more. Although this year this year's not actually what. No, you can't really compare, because this year they crushed a load of stuff in to the year that would have been next year. So you've basically got from about June onwards, about that amount of product in next year, about that much, but maybe a little bit more than that. Have I been to the toy show in Xenia, Ohio? Mark, Xenia? Don't know. I've been to many shows in Ohio that Aaron put on. I don't know if that's in Xenia though. What's the likelihood that we'll get the next crossover on the Transformers stream? Don't know actually, Darren. They don't tend to do it on the Transformers streams, do they? They do them, or they always get BMAC on with Emily and Lenny. I think they do that. I think they do that because it is quite G.I. Joe centric, isn't it? But I don't know. It might be a nice change of pace. Worth watching anyway. It's always worth watching the live events, for even if you're not collecting the toys. But if you're fans of the brand, like I'm a fan of the Transformers brand, so I get a kick out watching those still in the background when I'm, doing work and stuff. Yeah, Jedi Ben says collecting on multiple fronts just gets too out of hand and hard to keep up. Strong agree. Johnny says been getting into toy photography lately. Any news on interview with Shooting the Galaxy? Just don't have the time, but yes, it will be happening as soon as we can get the time. We'll do it 100%. I've passed on Falcon, Profit Director, Destro, Nunchuck, and Movie, says Derek. I still couldn't pass on Falcon. Still couldn't do it. I got him. Just turn him round. Face the other way. You have the Movie, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. You just showed us their heads lot. I know I do. I've got all of them. Just seen the Cobra Commander 2 covers, and wow. Just Mike, the comics I am well into at the moment. Oh my god, so good. Derek also passed on anything Python Patrol except for Vipra. Wow. I'm a mug man for Python Patrol. I love Python Patrol and Tiger Force. I'm all about it. It's a HasLab stream. They will just be talking HasLab. Okay, Scott, I see what you're saying. For Transformers. Yeah, fair enough. 50 figures sounds easy. 8 retro alone announced. Leon, yeah, there's loads. There's so many. I mean, look at the listings we've talked about. That's all 2024. There's gaps in that. There's stuff that isn't on there. There's a lot. There's a lot coming, and they have expanded this line massively, and they're expanding it even more somehow. I live 10 minutes away from Xenia. Interesting, Ben. Always sitting at 40 plus figures, revealed and unrevealed for 2024, possibly some 2025. Already sitting at 40 plus figures. Yeah, there's a lot. There's there's going to be stuff that we aren't aware of as well. It's a lot. Anyway, that's it. I think we've got to the end of all the comments. Thanks very much for joining me tonight, guys. This has been fun. We'll be doing this again with Leatherneck over the weekend. Don't know exactly when, because I've got to prep it still and do graphics and shiz. But yeah, and of course, tomorrow is the weekly. But the weekly is actually, there's going to be a bit of a change tomorrow. We can't do it in the afternoon. We're not going to be doing it at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to be doing it later in the evening, and it'll just be me, because Pat is going to have, unfortunately, he has another thing that he's doing on tomorrow evening. So we just couldn't line up, unfortunately. It sucks, but like I said, you'll get me for the weekly tomorrow. Go through all the weekly news stories, and maybe a bit more. Who knows? Some stuff might happen between now and Friday night. But yeah, we'll be doing that tomorrow night, the weekly. So apologies for those wanting to tune in a little earlier, but I just won't be able to do it until the evening. Do I have an Instagram, Jedi Ben? Yes, I have 2 Instagrams. I have me, Diagnostic80, spelt on the screen right there with a K, and the Full Force Podcast. You can find us. You can find both on Instagram. I might have more. Do I have more Instagram pages than that? I might do. No, I don't. No, just those 2. I'm greedy on other things. Like, I think X, I'm on like about, I've got loads of X pages. But that's things like, that's other things, other stuff that you don't have to worry about. Right, yeah. So there you go. That's it. I had a lot of fun tonight with this, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I really did. I really did. And if you didn't see it live, hopefully you'll see it after the fact, and you'll get involved in the comments and what have you. Thanks very much, guys. Give us a like, give us a subscribe if you can on YouTube. Obviously, we're trying to grow the YouTube channel still. You know, we're kind of stuck in that like late 4,000s. It'd be nice to get into 5,000. Nice to do 5K in the year 2024. Yeah, like obviously we love all the following, the support, the comments. Well, not all the comments. We like the comments that are nice. I don't like the comments that are mean. Not like I don't really get a lot of mean comments. That I'm not that thin-skinned, and I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have some ability, water off a duck's back sort of scenario. So anyway, Zorana says long online. You just wanted to hear me say that, didn't you? Had a great time tonight, guys. Have a great rest of your evening. I will see you tomorrow evening-ish. Don't know when yet, but we're going to do the weekly. We'll get there. It'll just be a bit later in the evening on Friday. Have a wonderful Friday as well, because I won't see you for that for a while. And see you tomorrow. Stay fresh, cheese bags. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3. Full force. Laters. That's it for this installment of the Full Force News Burst. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. See you next time, and as always, full force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well, @The Full Force Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.